Hey there, it's Larry back again. Just wanted to go over something. As I learn more stuff with this, I like to share it with anybody that I think can use it. So I've been a little bit wrong in the past on some of these videos I've made. And Gary Ramsey kind of pointed out a little bit of that to me, kind of subtle like, but I kind of realized it later what he meant. But we've been needing a spice rack out here in the shop kitchen. I was just thinking about really trying to find some ideas. So I went over to Plasma Spider, which I'm a member of, but I didn't find a whole lot here, but I'll show you what I found. If anybody else has any better ideas on this, I'm all ears, and I don't have any kind of metal brake. I don't have a press brake or any type of braking deal, so things like this are tough for me to accomplish. I've got TIG welder, MIG welder, and things like that, and I don't mind tacking things together if I had to. I definitely plan on getting some kind of a metal brake, whatever you call a finger brake, or whatever you call those. For most of what I use is 14 gauge material around here for small stuff anyway. Here's what they had on here. So some girl had put this in here. Well, it may not be a girl. I just was reading a lot of women were writing in there about this. But anyway, I think she said, or whoever said, to bend these along these lines and then use these at the bottom for hooks for pot holder. And then I guess bend these little shelves and just tack them in here. I can't really understand how it goes. I'm going to just cut one and see how it fits. I'm going to cut one of these shelves and then make sure it fits in there good. If not, I'll resize it and make it work. And I can probably come up with better ideas on how I want it once I start getting involved in it. I just don't. My mind is not the type that can kind of see things in advance. I have to kind of be hands-on with it a little bit and make changes. Anyway, that's not what I was going to talk about right now. I'm just showing you, any of you plasma cutting people, especially in the TruCut CNC family, I like to share as much as I can with you. If you're learning like me, or even if you know less than me, hopefully I can help you. I don't do a lot of this work. I'm not full-time. This is a hobby for me. So I do plasma cutting full-time at a big manufacturing place. So this is my way of getting my mind off of that stuff. So anyway, here's some little spice rack things I found. And also I've seen people asking questions on the TruCut group and Facebook a lot about questions that may be here, and it says here on Ross and Cindy's website at TruCut that this website may be here for another month or so. So I don't know where all this information will end up once this website is down. I don't know. That's kind of scary because I like to refer to this sometimes. I've saved most of these. If you go into downloads, there's a whole bunch of some of the manuals which you probably already have on your drive. If not, you need to go through here and download anything that you think might be useful. There was something about the CPC adapter yesterday. This is not really the CPC adapter, so I'm not sure. But this is also in the manual. I've noticed that I had. Maybe it's talking about my PDF version or whatever I have, but looks like this is talking about your X and Y and Z, and not really clear. I assume these are color codes that are on the controller. Don't see the CPC stuff on here, which is I believe that's the cord that goes to your plasma cutter. But I think that stuff is in my book, or you can go on Hypertherm's website and find out a little info about some of that info. It's always been nice. I could ask Ross any questions like that, and I mean, he could just tell you right quick. He's really sharp on it. But anyway, that's just one example. I'm just telling you, go through here and get some of these hints and stuff and download anything you can over here before it disappears. There's cut charts. That's the quickest way you can get your cut charts if you want to go into cut charts for hypertherm. You know, I don't know. This is what I use, 45XP, and you can just, if you're at the computer, not in the shop where you don't have your book in your hand, and you want to take a look at this. This is your shield and all that stuff. You know that you, a lot of people struggle with some of that. Just look in your book. There it is, clear as day. A lot of people want to talk about different shields for different, just, I'm telling you, the 22817 is your main shield for shielded stuff, and then if you go to fine cut, don't, I have these, all of these pieces pretty much, but this is the shield you want to use on fine cut. I saw this debated a little bit yesterday on one of the sites. People have trouble with fine cut. Just use this one here. It's called a look like 220948 is that part number. You put that with the 22930 and a 22842, and don't worry about this debate with the well, good grief, I can't even think what you call it, this kind of air diffuser thing here. I'm just drawing a blank on what they call it. All that's in here, but that 22857, that thing will work for any cutting I've ever done. I've even tried, I think there's one called a 947. I've used it, just tried it. I've never seen any difference whatsoever. My book doesn't call that out. I think some of the manuals actually say on fine cut to use a different one, but that's not necessarily true. Don't worry about all that. I don't know how I'm getting off on this. I'm just showing you what information is available on this website. If you go up here to tutorials, Ross has the greatest videos that I've ever seen on using, setting up sheet cam, and if I were you, I would definitely have sheet cam. Even if your machine didn't come with it, sheet cam is very useful for what we do. I also have Cut2D. I love it for some things, and we're going to get to Cut2D here in just a minute. I want to show you something. But if you click on any of these, it goes to Ross's YouTube channel. And a lot of it, the sound is real low on. Just turn up your TV or whatever real loud, and then you can hear him. It's these are great videos. Ross done a good job on keeping them short and to the point. Not like me that rambles on, but, and I had computer problems the other day here in my office, and I had to reset up some things like sheet cam, and y'all just click, for instance, on this side is TruCut 1960.
In this video, we're going to talk about setting up sheet cam for the first time. Now, on if you purchased a machine, then your computer will already have sheet cam set up on it. But if you need to reinstall it,
I just showed you. Just use all this stuff as long as it's here. It's very helpful. And he goes into on Cut2D also. And there's things with Bobcat that may not be on this deal, but if you look in his YouTube channel, which was what was it? Something 19 years. I already forgot what it was. I'm subscribed. Right there is his YouTube channel. Hopefully that'll all stay there because it's very helpful stuff there. So a lot of things that I've learned from watching his videos, and you can search online for Vectric, different forms of Vectric software that all work very similar. So you find a lot of helpful stuff there. So let's just get out of that and let's get back to what I wanted to show you. These files, like I talked about before, they're not clean files. I've never seen clean files hardly ever come through anybody that you buy files from, or I don't know what happens to them, honestly. You know, like I've said before, I've even bought files from Steve, you know, that's on one of the Facebook groups, and they were just as trashy as these others. I don't know what happens to them. I don't believe their problem is when they were created. I think it has to do more or less when they're transferred or something happens to them. I don't know. It's beside the point. I just want to show you what to do. So I think, let me close this because I don't know which file I've got open right here. I've been working on these files. I just put them all on one screen here. I'm not going to save that right now. Okay, let's go back over here. Also, Cut2D sent out an update a while back that you could go to version 10 for free. So you need to take advantage of all those things. I don't see a lot of difference, but they must have improved it. So let's open this file with SpiceRack project is what I had it called. And just for instance, I'll show you the best way. The first thing I do when I get a file from somebody, just mark some of this and look and push in for node editing mode. And look at how trashy that file is. See all them nodes that you don't want to try to cut that. That is, only God knows what's going to happen if you try to cut that. I would certainly think it would just overload your machine memory and everything else trying to do that. I know at work on our big industrial machine, it'll lock up the machine a lot of times if you have something like that. So if you want to simplify that, you know, I know Inkscape has something called simplify. You want to reduce those nodes. That's just ridiculous. So if you want, you could go ahead. In this instance, I would just come around this whole thing, just kind of get one at a time here. Mark that whole thing like that, okay? And you know, I like to get it out here we can work on it, but we'll just leave it right here, okay? Let's turn node editing off though. So it didn't mark all of those. So hold your shift key and if you want to add stuff. I'd burn it. I'm just keep on messing up in it. I get to talking on videos and I can't think straight. Okay. Everything's marked that we want the whole file there. Okay. Now go over here when you're marked on this curve fit. You see where I'm pointing right here? Curve fit. It's in the edit. Don't type. Click on curve fit. Now when you get in here, look at these. This is something that I was a little wrong on before. Gary Ramsey kind of told me about it a little bit, but something you don't realize until you're writing that. Make sure you click this box right here. It says replace selected vectors. If you'll remember on an earlier video, if you ever watched it, I was sitting there trying to figure out how to get the duplicate vectors out of that. And you don't need to do that if you'll just have this clicked, replace selected vectors. I've not seen a lot of difference, but that's with this keep sharp corners. You can play with that. But on the Bezier curves deal there, that seems to work. So you can push preview. Okay, and see how that really reduced all them nodes now to where there's not so many of them, just crazy. Like you'll see that a lot on arcs and things on everything. So make sure everything is selected here. Everything looks pretty decent. It may deform a little bit here and there, but it's probably not enough to worry. And if you do worry about it, come back in and you can redraw or move nodes around and fix little areas if you want. But for the most part, this works pretty dang good. I found some more errors in one of these somewhere too. But so now that we think that's going to be okay, just click OK right now. So now that is now the tool is turned off. So let's click node editing again and look at that again. See there? Now it's really clean, much better than it was anyway. And all of these areas, these were just stacked big time. You know, all of this was just crazy. Now that'll cut much better, but I'm not done yet. I still don't trust this. So what I like to do is over here where this little check mark is, Vector Validator, I like to click on that and then have everything marked like you do and push search selected. And see there, it's finding some faults right there. It says there's 2 overlaps and 4 intersections. So sometimes it'll let you fix some of that But if not, you just kind of like, see, you can see there's an overlap line. See, that's a different color right there a little bit than this. So remember where you're at here. We're on the fourth little perforation up. So let's close that tool out and let's just unselect. Now let's go right into this. Now don't mess things up where you forget where it's at. What I like to do is worry about that so you don't zoom in or out if you do something. Just have it where you want it. You can either go up and down on the arrow keys, like just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that, there's an extra line under there. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, put it back. Just so you'll know for sure where that was at. Go over here to transform objects. And that first one says move selected objects. Have that center right there and on absolute. So your center, look at these numbers on the Y. Since we're going to move up on the Y, that's at 9.443. A lot of times I'll just jot that down in a note if I'm messing with something. I'll put the X and the Y or something if I'm messing with something. We're at 9.443. All right, let's close that back out. Write that down, 9.443. Or just go 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks. Remember, you just went 4 clicks. Don't zoom in or out, it changes stuff. So click on that line you don't like and just push the delete key and get rid of that. Then select that again and come back 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks. Now let's go back and check to be sure we're right where we are, 9.443, yeah. Now, close that tool and get off of it. Now you can zoom back out, go over to this one. This other one had the same problem, remember? So let's zoom in on that. Select it. Do the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks. Now I'm gonna delete that. And select this again. I'm going to come down 1, 2, 3, 4, and I know that we're there. You can double check, you know, if you want, and make sure you're lined up with things. You can always pull guides over here if you wanted to look at things and see if things are straight. Sometimes you want to use them guides just for different reasons, you know, they're pretty handy. You can take measurements that way and different things. Is that guide still on there? Yeah, if you want to, you can just go delete guide. Okay, get rid of that. So that one's fixed, but you know, I'm sure that all of these have issues like that. Just push your node editing. Yeah, look how messed up that is. But that's how quick and easy it is to fix it. I mean, you can do it a lot faster when you're not talking about it and making videos and all that silly stuff. But so the next thing I do, and I've already done this, I'll just show you. I've got all this laid out on the screen because I just pulled all them vectors in and so I could just play with them on this one screen. But you know, normally you'd go up here to File, Export, DXF, or SVG, whichever. If you're going to be going to Inkscape with something, you want to save that as an SVG probably because it works. If you use a DXF in Inkscape, you get some crazy stuff going on. So, but I use DXF files primarily unless I'm going to be doing that. But see, we don't want to save all of this in one file because, you know, we're not going to cut all that like that. So what you can do is just mark what you want to save, just like this. And we still got node editing on that. So now, there's what we want to save. We don't want to save all of this in that file. So then you're going to go File, Export, DXF, save it where you want to, name it what you want to, and save it. Okay. And I think I already saved that. So the next thing I would do, this is, to me, that's a real handy tool. And if for no other reason to have Cut2D, the CAD program works so great. I don't really use the cam portion of this hardly ever because it's just not as useful as sheet cam. It will work. I'm not saying it won't. I have used it, and it does have nesting features that are are helpful sometimes, but let's not go into that right now. So the way I go to the table with a cut, and I'm out here, I mean, I'm not out there right now, I'm in the office here, but I have sheet cam in here on this computer too. So in sheet cam, you just go file. I'm not that great on this stuff, I'm just showing you things that I've learned. Import drawing, and then I go and find my drawing. Try to save things in the same place so you can find them. I've recently had computer problems, so some of my files are a little harder to find than they used to be, but I usually save things in DXF. And this has to be selected as DXF or SVG, whatever type you're looking for here. But guess you can search right here, maybe. Spice. Oh, I didn't click in here yet. If you click on DXF, you should be able, normally you can go right to Spice, Spice Rack Back 1, I think is what I named that one piece that I did. Make sure this is an inch and it's on this lower left corner. You can see sometimes that's on metric, you can get really squirrely here. You can play with some of that if you want, but that's, for the most part, I don't trust it all the time. I still like to measure things. You can right click the screen here and go to measure and just go down here in this lower left corner. I'm just looking for approximate measurements, and you can say, yeah, that is roughly 36 inches tall by 16 inches wide. Anyway, so you can just right click out of that. So, and a lot of times sheet cam will show some kind of errors if there are any also, but we know there's not any. We just looked at all that. Well, that's how you go to sheet cam with it. And I hate to go into this because this is not really what the video is about, but if you don't know, here's your layer. You can check, move layers around if you want, change things around. These are tiny little, I don't even know how small these are. I would want to measure those. A lot of times when I want to see, think about if I need to, see that thing's 684 thousandths tall by only 152 thousandths wide. So we're talking an eighth of an inch wide by about 5/8 of an inch tall. Those are pretty tiny, but they're just there for perforations. It's probably not important to worry about it. If you wanted, you could move all of those to a different layer, and I might do that, I don't know. Probably won't, just because that's not a feature that matters. It's just going to be something where you bend your metal there, I guess. This will be done. Okay, I'll show you if you want right quick. On operation, click down here on this little, as Ross calls it, little match head looking deal. You can leave this on outside offset, it'll pick it, but click your layer. There's only one layer showing here. Make sure your tool is set, and it's not, because I was cutting 3/16 last. It usually stays on whatever you used last. I think tool 16 is going to be fine cut, 14 gauge. That's what I like to use. Feed rate is showing it's going to be about 200 inches per minute, but out on Mach 4, you know, you can turn it down to 70% or whatever to run a little slower if you want. You can run it fast if you want. I think that's going to be a little fast. I run about 150 to 160 inches a minute usually on there. And it's kind of hard to say what type of lead-in we want to use on this. Tangents work good on sharp corners, but they're not very good on other stuff, so you can kind of get by with arcs a lot of times, but we need a small arc because we have some small features, so I don't know how small of an arc, but let's just say 0.1. Maybe leave our lead out about the same. We'll just look at that. It's really all you got to change here. If something's, goofy here. You know, you don't want some of that set. Make sure you're on reverse cut direction right here. That's for climb milling. That's what we want. So let's just say okay. And that's going to show you pretty much what it's going to do. And we can zoom in and see where's the first pierce. Looks like it went up here, but it's not. Where's the first pierce? Should be an S1. Here he is, right there. So, and those ain't gonna cut that great, but it'll work for these perforations. You can move those if you wanted to a little bit, but I tell you, I'm not gonna be worried about this too much on those because they're just little perforations. Where I'd be a little more concerned is up in here on the letters, and that's kind of changed the lead there. It's not an arc. I've never really seen it do that. It's more of a tangent or something. But again, I'm not going to worry a whole lot here. That looks like that'll cut. I kind of like that way because that kind of made that a smooth. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I'm getting off on the sheet cam here. That's not what I was here to show you. But if you want, I could just go cut that, and that's what I plan to do. Anyway, I wanted to just go cut this. Oh crap. If you mess with stuff like I just did, you gotta go back and it's kind of hard to figure out what to do when you mess stuff up like that. Forgot how you do that. I think it's on degrees. I really don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to put an operation on this right now. I'm just showing you how you bring it in and do that. And let's just close sheet cam and do not save your change in zone. And mainly just showing you how useful Cut2D is on some things. And I've been trying to learn Fusion 360 here lately, and it's been eating me alive. To be honest with you, I can't figure it out very well. Let's see if I can pull it up and show you what I mean just real quick, like hopefully. It's a pretty advanced program, so it'll probably take a minute to load that up. But I'm learning some new Haas machines at work, so I'm trying to learn how to do this in case I can do some cam with this. But I haven't really figured this out very much, I tell you. My son helped me. He's a CAD. He uses AutoCAD and Inventor some, but I guess you push File, and you can go Open, and I think it was called Shaft. That's what I was working on. And I tell you, I haven't done very well on this. I'll show you the shaft I've been drawing. See, I've got a plane right there that I don't know what's going on with. But you see the shaft. I was trying to draw a keyway there, and I don't know how to make that work out either. But the neat thing about this is you can kind of roll this around and look at it and stuff. I'm not very good at doing this either, but just for instance, I can roll this around a little bit if I knew what I was doing here. I really thought there was a way to roll that. See there, I ain't worth the flip this. What I wanted to look at is that, see, I put a radius right there on that. Maybe you can see that better. The mouse is backwards on this. I haven't figured out how to change that. You can kind of see I've got a keyway here, I need to make that a radius there where your end mill works. But anyway, this is kind of a useful program. I know. I just don't know much about using it. I drew all of this the other night. It took me a long time. There's got to be a faster way of doing this. But I've got a long ways to learn. I've been watching videos that Gary Coote had told me. Lars Christensen is part of the Autodesk. I think he's an Autodesk employee, but he has a lot of videos. But to me, his stuff, even though it says for beginners, is way more advanced than what I need. I need to know how you move features around, or I don't even know if you call them features, but sketches that I've made, kind of like that one right there, for instance. I need to move that one to a spot on the shaft where it goes, and I don't see anything here that lets you move things to a certain, like an X and Y coordinate or whatever, like we do on Cut2D or something else, where you just bang, lay things exactly how you want them, and I really don't know anything about that. At all, I can see it's pretty useful. I just don't know much about how to use it. Like that plane that's still stuck out here. I don't know. I wish I could find somebody that could talk to me and help me through some of this, locally here or something, that could sit in with me for just a minute and let me show them what I'm trying to do and help me a little bit. I'm probably in the wrong deal. I'm in design, or I know you can go to, like, here's drawing, and I don't know. What you do on manufacture, I think, is where you go into the cam features or something. Yeah, I don't know anything about this stuff. I was just showing you anyway. I'll close this out and I was just showing you. I've been working on that a little bit here lately. But anyway, go use those website that Ross has it on, like I showed you on TruCut, and make sure you have all that. There's a lot of useful information there that I really wish there's some way that website can stay. I know that probably cost him money to keep it, so you can't, no reason for him to keep it there when he's not in business anymore. But I don't know, maybe Gary Rangy knows the answer for that. He's kind of taking care of a lot of that stuff on our Facebook group. And anyway, sorry for the long video. I just wanted to show you those quick little tips that I'm kind of learning a little more about it as I use it with Cut2D, and there's a whole lot more features. And if you watch all of Ross's videos, I promise you'll get to knowing a lot more. And there's tips and things and on other YouTube videos about these things. And this is a really useful program. It's the best CAD program I've ever seen. Not that I'm that experienced with CAD, but I'm talking about for things we do with plasma cutting. That I don't believe there's anything better than this Cut2D for doing that. And like I've said, and Gary Ramsey's probably said, definitely said, is Inkscape is still useful. I don't abandon it. It's still useful for doing tracing, and a few tools like that. To me, it's pretty goofy though, because you don't have a trim feature like you do with the scissors here. You could just, this is joined, so you can't really trim like that. But anyway, this trim feature is amazing on this. And Bobcat kind of has some of that too. Bobcat is probably not that bad of a program if I could learn to use it. Anyway, I'll get out of here. Appreciate you listening to me ramble on for a little bit, and hopefully this will help someone. Please ask any questions you want to in the comments. I'm just learning. If you have anything to add, or if you want to see anything else done that maybe I know or can help you, or maybe I need to learn myself, I'm more than happy to help anyone out there in our TruCut group that's maybe struggling, or if you can help us. I don't do this full time, so this is not something that's all that big a deal to me to learn. But I'm just trying to help some of the newer users that maybe don't know some of this stuff. So anyway, appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.